Hi, this is the Pentax 645N version camera. So this is the second version of Pentax 645. The latest version is actually 645N2, which is not that much upgrade. I think this is just few minor upgrade from this N version, but this is kind of major upgrade from the actual 645 version, which is something like knobs and menus, like some kind of digital cameras, but this resembles to the 35 mm cameras, most part of it I should say. Look at the grip, is very handy, it comes in the hand very nice and tight. You can roam around with this grip, and there are dials like the 35 mm cameras, no more menus like the previous version 645. So let's start with the dials and everything, all the functions around. Let's turn the camera on first. So the first information it gives is the ISO information, which is 160, the one I showed previously. And here is the ISO button. Here we can change the ISO, so we have to put the ISO here, and this too is up and down. So if I want to make the higher ISO, I just do up and then I can go down. So let's put it to 400 because I mostly shoot 400 ISO black and white films. And let's come to this dial. This is shutter speed, and from here we can control our exposure program mode. Which exposure program, it doesn't say like digital cameras like program or auto or shutter priority or aperture priority, but from here with different combination we can determine the exposure program. Like here, if we set A in the shutter speed dial, that means shutter speed is now automatic. Camera will determine the shutter speed automatically depending on the aperture I set here. That means this is now aperture priority mode. And now if we change the aperture to A automatic, that means camera will determine the aperture automatically depending on the shutter speed here. So this is now shutter speed priority. And if we set A in both cases, now it's completely automatic, so we don't have to worry about anything determining the exposure, the shutter speed or aperture. Now it depends on camera. So I never do that. I normally do aperture priority, so yeah, or completely manual. And if we do completely manual, we have to determine the metering mode on ourselves, on the test or on the way we want to shoot the film. Like I mostly do spot metering, that's why it is already in the spot metering here, but you can change to this is center weight in the middle, and this is, I don't know, this is called matrix metering. Yeah, I forgot the name. Okay. And this is the ISO function, but beside ISO there is also some very important function here, like this exposure compensation. So there is two kind of exposure compensation here. So this is the normal thing is, so we have to press this and here. So this means 1/3 of 1 EV exposure value would be compensated in positive side. So if we do it in the other direction, so 1/3 of exposure value in the negative side. And now this value will be taken for every shot we do. But if we change here, for an example, we make it 0 here, and then we change this value here 1/3, that means this is bracketing. So the camera will do, for an example, if we do here one full EV, so camera will take the first photo in neutral, and the second photo one full stop up, and then the third photo one full stop down, something like this. So 3 photo in 3 values. So I never do that. Normally I do here if the lighting situation is difficult to get the actual value that I am looking for. I do some maybe plus or minus. So let's put it to 0 again. And the shutter is really noisy, so it can be bothering for the person you are shooting. So let's see how much sound it creates. Massive. So let's come to the film insert. So unlike the modular cameras, the film insert cannot be changed within a film, so it has to be completely done, and then we can change the film insert and put a new one in. But if you want to change the film when you just shoot 10 photos and then you want to change to color film or some other film, you cannot do it. You have to complete it. So this is a negative side of it, but for me it's okay. I'm not very professional. So 16 photos. Another interesting thing about this, normally 645 format gives you 15 photos in 120 film, but Pentax 645N gives you 16 photos, one more photo. So that's quite good value for money. One photo makes sense extra. Okay, so and this camera takes another good thing, batteries, which is AA batteries, AA batteries, which is very available everywhere. Every corner of your home you can get this AA batteries, and it's very cheap. And with 6A batteries, if you shoot 120 films, it goes around 130 rolls, so quite a lot. So if you are like not extremely professional, you do hobby, it will go like 1 year or 2 year easy. Oops, sorry. This way. And some other small function, like here is one tripod socket and there is another tripod socket, so you can mount it for landscape or portrait depending on what you want. So this is also interesting thing, like it has two tripod socket in it, and also mirror lockup and everything. And there are some important aspect about autofocus we didn't talk about at all, because I never used any autofocus lenses. So there will be FA if it is autofocus lens, and then these functions comes in because these are for the autofocus function. So I never used autofocus lens, so I don't know. But if we use a autofocus lens, normally the camera imprints all the information in every frame of the film. It's shutter speed, or if we had used any exposure compensation, or the aperture we used. And if we use FA lens, that is the autofocus lens, camera, this focal length will also be stored in all the frames. That's pretty interesting. So when we go through the films, normally we forget about which exposure mode we used or what shutter speed we used, and then we try to calculate in our mind like, okay, maybe one more stop would be better, and then but we almost forget everything. But in this case, for this camera, everything is stored in every frame, so you can understand what is the mistake you have done, what could have been done, in which other combination it could have been better. Yeah, so this is really a nice camera. It gives you 16 photo instead of 10 photo like 6:7 format, and 6:4.5 is still much bigger than 35mm. Is pretty nice for A4 size print or our laptop screen or mobile. Is beautiful. And yeah, it gives you the opportunity to take beautiful photos of medium format, although it's not that very large film size, but it still is the beauty of a medium format camera. So have one and enjoy the camera yourself. Thank you very much for watching the video.